Legislative Day number 17 will now come to order. Please rise for a moment of silent meditation. Thank you. I will now call upon Councilwoman Allman.
Thank you. Moshe, would you come forward? Moshe is here tonight getting his merit badge, and he's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the journal for the meeting of October the 1st?
I'll move it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The journal is approved. Enrollment of bills. Bill 65-18, 66-18, and 67-18 were passed by the council, signed by the executive, and hereby enrolled. Mr. Secretary, will you now read all bills for introduction?
Bill 8318, the 2018-19 capital budget. Bill 8418, Tiger Grant. Bill 8518, Mental Health Services Agencies. Bill 8618, Baltimore County Medication Assisted Treatment Capacity Expansion. Bill 8718, Baltimore County Behavioral Advisory Council. Bill 8818, Community Development Block Grant. Bill 8918, Senior Health Care Promotion. Bill 9018, Zoning Regulations in DR Zones. Bill 9118, Historic Environmental Setting, Scott's Tavern House and Outbuildings. And Bill 9218, Open Space Fees.
Thank you. The council will now consider all bills for final readings and vote. Mr. Secretary, first bill, please.
First bill is Bill 7118, sponsored by Mr. Jones at the request of the administration, entitled Babies Born Healthy.
Thank you. We have Mr. Kevin Reed.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and council members.
Good evening, Mr. Reed.
The administration is requesting a supplemental appropriation of state funds from the Maryland Department of Health in the amount of $47,780 to the Babies Born Healthy program. This program addresses low birth weight, premature births, and infant mortality. And this additional money will provide salary and fringe benefit costs for 2 part-time public health nurse and 1 part-time community health worker.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Are there any questions, any comments from the members? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 71-18.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Ullman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Bill 71-18 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next bill, please.
Bill 7318, community-based programs to test and cure hepatitis C.
Mr. Reed.
Thank you. This is a request from the administration. Again, it's a supplemental appropriation of federal funds from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in the amount of $33,226 to the community-based program to test and cure hepatitis C. This funding will be used to support the salary and fringe benefits of 4 part-time positions who will focus on reviewing laboratory reports and pursuing investigations to reach out and link citizens who are newly diagnosed with hepatitis C to get them into treatment and services.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Is there any questions or comments from the members?
There is one technical amendment, Mr. Chair. in your books. The technical amendment would be to substitute Centers for Disease Control and Prevention where it says Center for Disease Control.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the amendments to Bill 73-18?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on the amendments to Bill 73-18.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The amendments have passed. Is there a motion to approve Bill 73-18 as amended?
So moved as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 73-18 as amended.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Bill 73-18 as amended is passed. Mr. Secretary, next bill, please.
Bill 7418, Housing Counselor Program.
This is
Mr.
a
Reed, it's all your show tonight.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. This is a request from the administration for a supplemental appropriation of federal funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in the amount of $190,953 for our housing counselor program. The state has restructured the way this grant award, how it gets to certain localities, and it combines the rental allowance program with our housing counselor program to provide a streamlining of financial assistance to households who are close to evictions. And it also provides case management by housing counselors to assist with issues that may lead to homelessness.
Are there any questions or comments? Is there any amendments?
There is another technical amendment on this bill, Mr. Chair. It is in your books. It would strike the amount of $101,446 and substitute $190,953.
Yes, Councilman Quirk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, as we talked about in work session, I do appreciate this, in particular this program a lot. I mean, this program's the program that helps with specialized populations, including the young people that are homeless, victims fleeing domestic violence, those identified for shelter diversions, youth that are aging out of foster care systems, young parents with children at risk for child welfare intervention. So definitely it's a program that does a lot of good out in the communities. So thank you for your work on it.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve the amendments to Bill 74-18?
I'll move it.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on amendments to Bill 74-18.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Ayes have it. The amendments to Bill 74-18 is passed. Is there a motion to approve Bill 74-18 as amended?
I'll move it as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on 74-18.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Ayes have it. Bill 74-18 as amended is passed. Mr. Secretary, next bill, please.
Bill 7518, MECHI Enhanced Families Project. I may have pronounced that wrong.
It's MCFE, but very close.
Okay.
That stands for the Maternal Infant Early Childhood Visitation Program. Again, this is a supplemental request. These are federal funds from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in the amount of $14,960. MCFE is one of our funding sources for our Healthy Families Baltimore County program that provides evidence-based home visiting services to at-risk women and families up until the age of the child turning 5. This additional funding was one-time funding for training and data support for this program.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Are there any questions? Any discussions? No amendments? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 76-18.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Bill 76-18 is approved. No, 75-18, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Bill 76-18.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Bill 7618 is entitled Tax on Mobile Homes Repeal, sponsored by Mrs. Bevins.
Ms. Bevins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The history of the mobile home tax is a tax on mobile homes that have been around since 1954. The rationale behind the tax was originally established was to ensure that these types of homes paid their fair share to county services, mainly because they were mobile, they would be moved in and out. So they wanted to make sure that if they benefited from county services, that they be paying some type of tax. Mobile homes are no longer mobile. Manufactured home parks are established in communities with active community associations, such as the Baltimore County Mobile Home Association, the Biscayne Bay Village Community Association. Tenants already pay their mortgage, they pay ground rent on their pads, and they are fully vested in Baltimore County. The land on which the mobile homes are situated are already taxed by the property owner, so this is double dipping. This is about fairness. The tax is out of date, and it should be repealed, and I hope my colleagues will support this legislation. We heard from the president of the Mobile Home Community Association at the work session. We heard from Mr. David Gershmeyer of the Biscayne Bay Mobile Home Association, and truly, I feel it's an unfair tax if the property's being taxed twice. So I hope that we'll be able to support this evening.
Councilman Crandall?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I concur with Councilwoman Bevins. And I appreciate her work on this issue. We did hear back after the work session. We asked the county auditor and her staff to look into some questions that we had, and after hearing back from our good county auditor, that I'm satisfied with my understanding of the issue, and I do believe that this is an unfair double dip on mobile home owners. So I'll be voting in favor of this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Crandall.
Any other questions or comments? The administration like to weigh in on this issue?
We have nothing to add beyond the conversation that took place at the work session.
Okay. I will just say that I certainly am sympathetic to the people in the mobile home, and I certainly can understand why they feel that they are being taxed twice. However, based on the taxes that I see them paying, I don't think that they're being double dipped. I think the taxes that the property owner pays is his or her own tax, and the law requires that the people that live there pay a tax. I also feel like the mobile homes are not mobile. They're permanent just like anybody else's home, and that in order to live in Baltimore County and enjoy certain privileges, you have to pay some taxes. And I don't think that $240 a year is excessive. And if I were to compare what they pay with somebody in a condo who pays a mortgage, property taxes, condo fee, and someone in a mobile home park, they pay a ground rent, and then they also pay the disc tax. So although it has a different name and it's called an excise tax, when you look at the totality of what they're paying, I don't think they're being overtaxed at all. So as much as I feel for their particular situation, and I understand why they would feel the way they do, I just think that this is probably not a good time to give a tax break. Also look at some of the obligations that the county has in terms of $32 million lawsuit with Corinne Gaines, a $16 million pension case that we just lost. And the current obligations we have, I just don't think this is, although this is a small amount, I just don't think this is the time to cut taxes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So what you're saying is because we have other obligations, we shouldn't do the right thing, for one, right? Is that what you're saying? Because we already have these lawsuits that we're paying out for, we shouldn't do the right thing?
Well, I don't think that they're being overtaxed.
And you're misleading the people that are here tonight. The property is paid taxes on pretty substantial amount of taxes. How do you tax the same property twice?
Well, the one tax is to the property owner, who pays on the profits he's going to make,
That's correct.
and then there's a $20 tax that goes to the residents that live there.
Do you know what the definition of an excise tax is?
I looked it up last week. I can look it up again.
Yeah, look it up and tell me what it says in that, because that's how they're charged.
Let me see here.
And Mr. Chair, as you're doing that, I
Yes.
would just say that I know that you feel that this is not the right time. I think that every time to do what is fair and just is the right time.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that, and excise taxes are taxes paid when purchases are made on a specific good, such as gasoline. Excise taxes are often included in the price of the product. There are also excise taxes on activities such as on wagering or on highway usage by trucks. One of the major components of the excise program is motor fuel.
Right, now what does that have to do with living in a mobile home and a mobile home park? Absolutely nothing.
I think that the issue for me is, I understand that. I guess the issue for me is simply this. Every citizen in Baltimore County have to pay their fair share.
They
Because
pay their fair share.
Well, they pay, I think they are paying their fair share. But to eliminate the only tax that we have on them, there's only one tax on them, that's $20 a month or $240 a year. The other tax comes in the name of the property owner based on the income they receive. Right?
They pay taxes on their mobile home. They pay income tax. They pay taxes.
So what was testified the other day
Can we
was-
just take a vote?
Yeah, we can take a
Okay.
vote.
I'd be good with that.
When I finish, we'll take a vote. The other day, what was testified was that they pay a $600 in ground rent. That comes out to $7,200 a year. They pay the $240 additional tax. That comes up to a total of $74.40 a year. And then they have to pay their mortgage. Now, if you look at $74.40 a year, and you take somebody who pays $1,100, $1,200, $800 a month in a condo, they still have condo fee, they still have property taxes, and they have a mortgage. So I don't see where, at the end of the day, that they're being overly taxed. But you're right, we can just move right on to the vote. Any more comments? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, let me see there. Please call the roll on Bill 76-18.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Nay.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mrs. Almond?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
No.
Ayes have it, Bill 76-18 is passed.
Thank you.
The chair will now consider all fiscal matters. Extensive testimony was taken at the council's work session on October the 9th. The witnesses who testified at the work session are available to restate their testimony if needed. If a council member have any questions regarding a particular fiscal matter, that item will be discussed as a separate matter. I will now call upon the secretary to read the cover letter for fiscal matters 1 through 7.
Fiscal Matter 1 is a budget appropriation transfer involving the Department of Planning. Fiscal Matter 2 is 2 contracts for on-call roofing services. Fiscal Matter 3 is 3 contracts for snow removal and de-icing services. Fiscal Matter 4 is a contract with Frederick Ellis Incorporated trading as Atwater Cab. Fiscal Matter 5 is an easement agreement with the state of Maryland. Fiscal Matter 6 is a contract of sale with Teddy W. Bell II. And Fiscal Matter 7 is a contract of sale with William and Mary Groff.
Is there any questions or comments on the fiscal matters? Is there a motion to approve fiscal matters 1 through 7?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved
Second.
and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call a roll on fiscal matters 1 through 7.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Fiscal matters 1 through 7 are approved. Chair will now consider all miscellaneous business. Mr. Secretary, first item, please.
Mr. Chair, whenever a contract over $25,000 is awarded by process other than formal competitive bid, a copy of the contract must be given to the council, and at the next legislative session day following the award of the contract, the Secretary formally announces to the council the nature of the contract. There are 3 such contracts this evening. First is with Baltimore Gas and Electric Company doing business as BGE in the amount of $81,967. The second is a contract with Mercino Dewatering Incorporated in the amount of $201,601.80. And the third contract is with Ecotone Incorporated, a total of $277,000.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Next item, please.
Next item is Resolution 108-18, sponsored by Mrs. Bevins. This is a property tax exemption for a disabled veteran, Mr. Mark W. Shin Sr., who is entitled to a refund of property taxes paid under state law.
I'm honored to move it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call a roll on Resolution 108-18.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Resolution 108-18 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 109-18, sponsored by Mr. Jones, a property tax exemption in the name of Albert W. White, who is a disabled American veteran and entitled to a refund of property taxes paid under state law.
It's my honor and privilege to move this resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call a roll on Resolution 109-18.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Resolution 109-18 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 110-18, sponsored by council members Bevins and Marks, a resolution encouraging the White Marsh Mall to adopt a mandatory parental guidance policy. This is for introduction only this evening.
Thank you.
Mr. Bostwick, may you add my name as a co-sponsor of that bill, please?
Yes, Mr.
That resolution, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Secretary, is there any further business to come before the council?
There is no further business, Mr. Chair.
Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned. As is customary, anyone who has signed up prior to the meeting with the secretary is allowed 3 minutes to speak. Mr. Secretary, are there any speakers signed up this evening? I think there is. I have the meeting.
There are speakers, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I will call your name when you come up. Please be respectful. We have quite a few speakers this evening, so if you can keep your comments to 3 minutes. I will be kind enough to give you a warning when you get to 3 minutes. I'll ask you to kindly wrap up your comments. If I feel that you're going a little further and it doesn't sound like you're anywhere near your conclusion, I will start reaching for the gavel. So please be respectful of everybody's time and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. I'll call Mr. Dave Gersmeyer. Gersmeyer. Close.
Just think say thank you.
It's the second time you corrected me on that. I'll get it right the third time for sure. Oh, come on. Gersmeyer.
Well, Council, I want to thank especially our councilperson, Kathy Bevins. This has been a battle that's been going on for a long time now. It's not just happened here a few months prior to this or anything. For years, this has been going on, and that she was able to take on this responsibility of trying to do what's fair and what's just for hundreds of mobile home owners, not just me and not just the 2 parks that were represented here. But saying that, I want to thank all the council people for their letting us have the opportunity to come and speak and tell our side of the story. Even if there's a difference in the way that you voted, that makes no difference to me. You gave us the honor and privilege of coming here, and I thank each and every one of you for that. And I also want to shout out a thanks to Pamela Wood with the Baltimore Sun, who wrote a fabulous article about this particular issue. So thank you again.
You're welcome,
Mr.
Dave.
Chairman.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
coming
very
in.
much, Mr. Gersmeyer.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Gertzmeyer, just, you must be vigilant, though. I mean, we've repealed the tax. You got to make sure that the landlords aren't going to still charge you $20 more, despite the fact we
Yes,
repealed it.
and
So
that was an
please do.
issue. That was an issue during the work session, and I can assure you that the information will get out to the mobile home owners that they, at this point, have the legal right to deduct $20 from their lot rent. So we'll see to it. Paul, who was here at the work session, is the president for the Baltimore County Homeowners Association, so he can reach out to them. But that's a good point, and we'll see to it that takes place, because I know that was one of the things that the council brought up.
Good.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gersmeyer.
Thank you,
And
Dave.
we appreciate you coming in, appreciate you being vigilant on the issue, and thank you very much. Roy Plummer.
Hello, everyone. You may or may not remember, my name is Roy Plummer. I'm on Animal Services Advisory Commission. Also, I've been in animal care since the 70s, actually. This guy here is handing out some visuals for me so you can kind of understand what's going on in my community. The top two pictures are screen grabs from security cameras in my neighborhood. It shows this 100-plus pound Rottweiler that's wandering around off the leash pretty often. What's even more disturbing to me is that this guy does not seem to want to control this dog, but there's also a banquet hall next to this guy, where this guy lives, and it seems he's conveniently letting it out even more and more when there's I'm going to say like an African-American or a Latino people that are using the facility. So that really kind of bothers me, because I don't want our neighborhood to be portrayed as that. On every case here, animal control has been called, and they were told, including, they even told me, they go online, fill out the affidavit, have it notarized, and have it sent in before we do anything. So nobody really wants to go through that. Nobody knows where a notary is anymore, so we just work with it. Now, the bottom left-hand picture is my own personal 14-pound dog, Oleg, that I walk, that I already had to grab twice and put in my arms because this Rottweiler ran out to the street. So because animal control doesn't seem to want to do anything or want to pass it off to somebody else, I now carry a can of wasp spray, as you can see on the bottom right-hand corner. Because it sprays 20 feet. I haven't had to use it yet, thank goodness, but at least I have something on me when this Rottweiler runs towards us. So, and now my neighbors are actually following suit with the same thing. They're also carrying a can of wasp spray with them. So I'm just hoping that at some point animal control does what they're supposed to do, respond to these problems. When there's smoke, there's fire. If 3 or 4 or 5 of us are calling animal control to say this Rottweiler is running wild and tracing us, nobody's showing up to do anything unless we fill out the affidavit and get it notarized and do whatever else they want, whatever hoop they want you to jump through to get this something taken care of. So my time's almost up. Hope you enjoy the pictures, and hope you can help us out with something. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Councilwoman Bevins. Thank you, Mr. Plummer.
So one, I just want to know, what community is this?
It's known as Kimberly Farms. It's behind
In Dundalk?
the Weiss Market on Halliburton Avenue.
Okay.
That Gavigan's Furniture Store area, 7-Eleven, that little block of time
Okay.
right there. So
And second, do you know what kind of effect the raid would have on the dog if you sprayed it?
I hope it would deter it from running towards me.
But could it blind it, or, I mean,
That's, it's either he gets blinded or my little 14-pound dog and I get attacked. So
I just didn't know if you already...
I'm sure that, there's something that's going to I'm sure it's going to irritate its eyes. I don't think it's going to kill it, but I'm sure it's going to scare it away or irritate its eyes or something. But, what else do you do at that point? There's not a carry permit in Maryland.
And you know who the property owner is?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, you know who the
We've
dog owner is?
confronted him, and he'll tell you in so many terms just to mind your own business. He doesn't have nothing to do with holding the dog back. He's very belligerent. He's very racist, actually. He flies a Confederate flag when there's an African-American people at the banquet hall next door, and that really irritates me because I don't want us to be portrayed like that where I live. So, anyway.
So he uses the dog for intimidation? Is that what you're
That's
saying?
the word I'm
Is the
looking for.
dog aggressive?
He hasn't been aggressive to me yet, but when you see a dog crouching towards you like a tiger, he's up to something.
Mm-hmm.
He's not there to lick your hand, I'm sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Plummer. Rob Hombach.
Forgive me, this is my first time, so. I'd just like to get right to the point that I'm actually a homeowner, and hearing what's going on here today, I have something to tell real quick about a pit bull problem that we have right next to where I live. Mr. Crandall, you're my councilman. I'm in Dundalk. I'm right by East Point. Back in March of this year, I got a frantic call from Melanie, the mother of my child, and that he was attacked by a pit bull. I was on the way home. I pulled up to the yard, and there were people in the yard. And we have a pit bull living next door, two of them. One of them is very large, easy 100 pounds, and it's very aggressive. And I got there. I was pretty upset, to say the least, and confronted the homeowner, called the police. The police came, basically said there's nothing they could do. Anyway, they finally put some signs up, beware of dog. They tore their fence down about 1.5 years ago to have an area to park, which was ridiculous because they have parking in the front. I pleaded with them to put a fence up. I even suggested, hey, I'll help you put the fence up. They just blew me off. They don't have anything to do with that. I have a large yard. They have a smaller yard, and I have an area. We have an easement for the driveway to come in for all 3 yards. So we all use it. So nothing's been done since this time. About 2.5 weeks ago, I happened to be home. My son has a friend right across. He's walking over there to play with him. He always looks outside. We constantly look outside to make sure the dogs are not outside. He goes over to play with the dog. To play with his friend. The friend's not home. And if you can only imagine the fright of what I heard and what I felt when I'm sitting at the kitchen table looking out there, and I have a big yard, I have a lot of trees, so it's hard to see everything. My son he's only 9, he turns around screaming, "Daddy, Daddy," and he's running this way, and then I see the pit bull charging towards him. Now, I keep a baseball bat by the back door and my bow. I don't have a weapon. I grabbed the baseball bat. I think anybody else would do. I ran outside. This dog's coming within 15 feet of my son, and I was going to, of course, defend my son. When the dog saw me and saw I was not backing down, he turned. And then the homeowner came out, and he ran back. And what happened, the dog broke the leash. And I told her, you can't trust a leash when you have a dog this large. You can't trust it. I pleaded with her then again. And I'm very upset. I got this bat in my hand. I'm very upset. My son's crying and screaming. And he was bit. The first time the dog actually attacked him, it bit him on the back of his leg. We had pictures. I sent pictures. But nothing's being done. I called the cops again, and the young officer says, we don't know, there's nothing we can do. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. They won't put a fence up. They won't do anything. And this dog will kill any of us. This is a big pit bull, and he's very aggressive. And also, everybody heard today, a pit bull just killed another woman over in Washington today. I don't know if anybody heard that. I don't know what to do. Any suggestions? I mean, besides me taking this matters in my own hands, I don't know what else to do.
Mr. Chairman.
Great, Councilman Bevins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm just curious, you're saying that the dog did bite your son that day or previously?
In March 8th, that's when
Okay,
he bit
so
him.
when you're, so
Knocked
when
him
you're,
down, bit him. It didn't.
So what did
there
animal-
was BG&E. Thank God there was people there. If there wasn't people there, my son probably
what
would
did,
have dead.
what did the police or animal services do about that bite?
I called Animal Services. They sent me a letter to fill out. I've never heard nothing since. I
fill-
just want them to put a fence up.
Did you fill the letter out and send it back? Did you fill
Yeah,
out the
yeah,
affidavit
yeah.
and send it back?
Yes. The
So-
first time. Now I got another, and they sent me another one again.
So the owner of that dog was never called in for a hearing for a
Not that I know of.
aggressive dog, a
Not that I
dog
know.
bite?
They put signs up.
Did you have medical bills for your
Well,
son?
thank God it wasn't a horrible bite. It was more of a bruising. He grabbed me.
But he was still attacked.
He was knocked down. The dog dove on him. Yes. And if nobody was there, God forbid what would have been done, or what would have happened. And then last week, 2 weeks ago, when he's charging at him, I mean, he's not playing. He's coming at him, growling and screaming.
Did Animal Services ever come and interview you?
No,
You never received a phone call?
No, I got
Do you
another-
remember
I-
the date of that, sir?
that's about 2 weeks ago.
When he was bit?
No, the second attack when his dog came at him. That was March 8th. I do have that. Yeah.
March 8th is when he
When
was
he was
bit?
bit, yes.
And you're saying that there was nothing ever done about that?
No, I got a letter. I filled it out, sent it back. I've never heard anything since. And I'm very concerned about myself.
Was there-
Now,
was-
I carry a baseball bat back and forth to the car every day. That's what I got to do. Every day I carry a baseball bat. I'd rather carry and deal with, but
So on March 8th, did you get a police report?
yes, we did.
Okay.
And he acted like and my brother's a Baltimore County retired lieutenant. And it's not. He just doesn't seem like they're going to be able to help. I
Mr.
don't think
Fields, I know you're not familiar with it, but does any of that make any sense to you? Why that would happen?
Well, typically, if they'd gotten, from what he described, at the very least, if he'd filled out the affidavit, at the very least, there would have been a charge of menacing animal.
Right.
Right, because what happens is, the point of these affidavits is I believe that they typically go out and talk to people as well, but based on the affidavit, what they do is they read the affidavit, and then they sort of slot the story into the various offenses that could have occurred. And so it sounds like from what the gentleman is saying, is that at the very least, if they read a notarized affidavit, they would issue a citation against the property owner, against the animal owner. Now, again, it's possible the citation, the fine for menacing animal, I think is only $250. So if the person is willing to just pay the fine, they may never come into an animal hearing board hearing. At a certain point, typically, from what I've seen, they might declare the dog a dangerous dog, and you can't get out of going to a hearing for that. So they apparently have not, at this point, as far as you know, declared the dog a dangerous dog. But we don't know whether or not that's true. Obviously, we're talking about something from 2 weeks ago. Sometimes what happens is they'll do it from a single story or from an aggregate of stories, at least when I was counsel to them years ago. That's the way it would happen. It's possible that they're ginning up right now a dangerous dog declaration, but obviously this is the first time anybody's hearing this.
So
I guess my real concern is your son is 8,
9.
9, and this was a very large breed dog.
I sent a picture to I'm forgetting right this moment. And yes, it's a
Okay.
very large dog. They have 2 pit bulls actually. One of them is a smaller female, and it's actually a very nice dog. But they still shouldn't let it out off of a leash, and they
No.
do. And it runs right back in. It's
That's why
very
we
shy.
have leash laws.
This other
Right.
dog broke the leash. And she says it's a 3,000-pound leash. I said, let me tell you something. That dog is a lot stronger than that leash, and it broke it. It was the most frightening thing I've been through in a long time.
Sure,
To
I
see
know.
my son
Absolutely.
screaming and running towards me. It puts chills in me now.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, just one comment. You can, I'm not being flip in any way, but you can put a fence up.
If you come
could.
see my yard,
Yeah.
I'm not putting out $25,000 to put a fence around my
Okay,
yard.
I got you. there. It shouldn't be your, I'm not saying it should be your responsibility,
they
but
already have half of a
you
fence
have every
up.
right to put a fence up.
But the thing is,
But-
they have a half a fence up. They only need to put in about 30-foot of fence, and I was willing to help them
Okay.
do it. They just don't. They don't want to have nothing to do with anything I have
Right.
to say.
Okay. So what I'd like to do, though, is we're not going to get to the bottom of this, tonight in a legislative session. But I would like you to, at the very least, call us at our office or come visit us. Our district office is right at East Point Mall.
Right.
So if you come in and talk to us, give us the correspondence that you've got in the police report, and we can try to get some information and maybe some help for you.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Let's start.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes,
could
Councilman Crowe.
ask a question to Mr. Field, for my own knowledge, and if we have situations like this, and there's maybe a police report filed, or there's some type of tracking documents, who would the county council talk to follow up on cases like this? And just like similar to code enforcement, we always have a way of tracking and being able to follow up and reference. Do we have the same thing in this type of situation?
Well, I mean, I can get you any information that you want. Obviously, Dr. Jones is in charge of BCAS, but if you want to just sort of go through me to do all that, I'd be happy to be the conduit for that.
Is it public information?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens when we get these reports, especially if there's a bite, we'll redact any medical information that comes through, and under a decision of the Attorney General from a number of years ago, we read that very broadly. So, obviously we're not going to give you the medical information about there, but anything else that's in there is typically public information. There's sometimes people will ask for anonymity when they make a report, and there's some case law that authorizes us to do that, but it doesn't happen too often with these animal things.
So since this most recent incident was only a couple weeks old, perhaps you mentioned that this dog could be in the process of being declared a dangerous dog?
Again, I don't know. I mean, this is obviously the first time I'm hearing this story. Obviously, we have the gentleman's name and address, so it wouldn't be that difficult to figure out. This is Mr. Heimbach, correct?
Yeah.
So it might still be ongoing potentially?
I'm guessing, but I don't know, obviously. I mean, I'm not up there. I'm here.
Okay.
And not directly involved with animal control.
And I will say, I recall at least one other anecdotal story, just like Mr. Heinbeck's, where there was a bite, police report was filed, and nothing happened after that, and there was never any sort of resolution or action taken.
They put signs up.
So that's of
They put
concern.
signs- I noticed that, then they put signs up. I think somebody got in contact with them, because all of a
Okay.
sudden there's signs up, beware of dog, no trespassing. I mean, it's a wide open yard. I mean, it's so stupid, the signs, they do nothing for
Right.
that
Well, this
purpose.
is something that we can find out what in fact was done, and we can work with Mr. Field's office to figure that out. But I think it would be beneficial for you to come in and talk to us,
Okay, I'll do that.
so we can, sort of dig into the more of the story with you.
Just to be clear for me, Mr. Heimbach, did the dog break the skin on your son?
Yes, it did break the skin.
This is horrendous. I mean, there's no question that when you tell a story, I could just imagine
It
how
still
you
gives me
feel.
chills 2 weeks ago when that dog was coming at my, if you could be there and see what I saw.
I wasn't
Believe me, if I
there,
had a
but
gun,
I can tell you,
I would do what I had to do.
I could really appreciate your feeling and the fear you would have, as any of us would, if some dog was coming and
your
our
son
kid was
screaming,
running
"Daddy,
and
Daddy."
screaming.
It's something you never want to hear. It's not.
And I assure you, we will look into it, and we'll find out what happened and do whatever we can to make sure this sort of thing doesn't happen
And
again.
I don't want 3 times.
We don't have no
to be a
control
charm,
over your
yeah.
neighbor, but I mean, we'll do whatever we have to do and make sure our systems are working properly.
Thanks for giving me extra time.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I can recall, we had a situation in Wiltondale maybe 2 years ago, a very serious mauling, and there was a decision made, and not everyone was happy with it, but Mr. Field, your office was helpful in getting that information to me. So the system does work sometimes.
Thank you for coming
Thank
in,
you.
Mr. Hornbeck. Holly Schmidt. And Adam Zimmerman, you can come and sit a little closer if you like, sir.
Hi, thank you. I have a little bit of bronchitis. You'll have to bear with me. My name is Holly Schmidt. I live in the district of County Councilman Marks. I'm here tonight to give 2 examples of where anonymous reporting of animal control issues would be beneficial. This was a little bit further back. In August 2014, I received a cease and desist letter from a neighbor. This letter came after I called Baltimore County Animal Control on 3 separate occasions to report issues pertaining to their dogs. If animal control could just go to the home that it's reported to have where the dog issue is, they could see for themselves rather than have the neighbors be arguing against each other. The dog problems continue at this address today. However, I'm no longer comfortable reporting when I have to leave my name. My current situation is with my grandchildren's bus stop. One of their neighbors brings their pit bull boxer mix dog along with their kindergartner to the bus stop. I'm okay with dogs. I have had many of my own. I'm just not comfortable when the dog gets between me and my grandchild, growls, barks, and can slip out of her collar, which has happened twice at the bus stop. I also suffer from balance issues and recently had knee replacement and Achilles tendon repair surgery. Running is not possible. At times, I also have my youngest grandchild with me who's terrified of dogs, even fluffy puppies. I cannot hold her at the bus stop. After calling the school, bus transportation, the Board of Education, I found that there are no rules or safety protections for the school bus stops regarding dogs. They may only step in if a child gets bitten. I was told by animal control that if the dog comes out of her collar again, I can call and report animal at large. I would have to leave my name in order for the dog owner to receive a warning. If there are protections in place by not allowing dogs at the school bus stops, even those children with pet allergies would be protected. Please consider this and allow residents to report anonymously. This will help save our pets and families. They are laws.
Thank you very much, Ms. Schmidt.
So, Ms. Schmidt, so you've approached the school system and they've been of very little help here.
Oh, they're all in agreement with me, but there's nothing in place because they said they cannot, that the bus stops don't belong to anybody. And that if the dog is on a collar, the person has every right to be there. My concern is that little kids going up to a dog they don't know could be bitten. There's really no barrier. And this dog did get loose. And also, dogs don't go to school. They shouldn't be at the bus stop. Same with smokers. We're stuck there standing there at the bus stop, and you've got the smokers there. That's not fair. But getting back to the dogs, I don't think it's safe. I think there should be some notice or request that parents not bring their dogs to the bus stop, at least.
Just right across along Seven Courts Drive?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'll follow up with you afterwards.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. Mr. Zimmerman and Ms. Peggy Riston, if you can come closer, please.
Good evening. My name is Adam Zimmerman. I live in Lutherville with my family and represented on the council by Mr. Wade Kosh. On Friday, October 5th, 2018, at around 10:30 p.m., I discovered a dead fawn in my fenced-in backyard. After managing to get our dog and the two dogs that were staying with us, my wife and I began inquiring about how to get this animal removed from our property on a Friday night. Our friends who had had a similar experience over the summer advised us that on Monday we would be able to contact Animal Services or that we'd be able to contact them over the weekend, but the animal would not be able to be removed until the weekend. On Saturday morning, as instructed, I went ahead and contacted Animal Services and arranged for the removal on Monday. I described the location of where the animal was in my yard, and the representative indicated that there would not be an issue with having the animal removed. My wife also inquired of people on Nextdoor for any suggestions on removing the deer. At that time, we learned of our friendly neighborhood vulture who managed to destroy a dead rabbit, leaving the remains strewn through a neighbor's yard in just the recent weeks prior. In an effort to stave off the vulture, I covered the deer's body with a sheet. The body remained untouched until Sunday night when an unknown animal got into our backyard and tried to drag the deer through the fence. This left a sizable dent in the fence and effectively knocked a board loose. The shoulder of the deer was clearly chewed on by either the same animal or other animals as well. On Monday morning, when I discovered this, I recovered the body, all in the hopes of both reducing the horrible stench that was filling the lower part of my backyard, as well as, I'm sure, the stench seeping into my neighbors' yards early Monday morning. At approximately 9:30 a.m. on that Monday, the collector arrived. He informed me that he would not be going into my yard to retrieve the deer. He cited a policy that the deer had to be within 10 feet of his truck. I asked if I could get a hand to bring it up the truck, and he only replied if I was able to have something to help him pull it up. So instead, I walked down the hill, I put on latex gloves, and I dragged the deer up the hill myself. At that point, he walked into the yard, had whatever gadget he had, pulled the deer, put it into his truck after he had backed his truck down my driveway. As you can tell, my frustration in the situation would be twofold. One, the dead deer remaining in our yard for a 48 period cannot be sanitary. And having to worry about staving off vultures is a problem in and of itself. Secondly, the lack of assistance to remove the deer from my yard was quite perplexing. The gentleman was very polite about it, but citing to policy and indicating he was not able to help me beyond a certain point. If I had not been home that morning, the dead deer would have remained until such time as I would have been able to come back, pull it up, if I may.
You can finish your comments, sir.
Thank you so much. If I had not been home and my wife had been home, the dead deer would have been still remaining. I would ask that the council consider a policy change to deal with earlier disposal, not having to go through an entire weekend, as well as having somebody be able to help remove the remains. I would cite that this is completely prejudicial to individuals who had been handicapped and not been able-bodied to be able to do it. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Katz?
Yes, Mr. Zimmerman, somebody from my office, if you could meet him in the back, and we'll
Very well.
get the details.
Thank you, sir.
Because take a look at the current policy and see what changes have to be made.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I had a similar situation in Greenbrier maybe 2 months ago where a fox died, and the carcass was there like Friday night, and the Towson precinct helped me get rid of it, and we didn't want it sitting there all weekend in the summer sun. So maybe it's done on a case-by-case basis. I don't know, but I think you're right. It's probably something we need to look at.
Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman Bevins?
I just have a question. Isn't Animal Services on call 24/7?
Well, first of all, I would point out that there's exactly zero law in the Baltimore County Code about removing dead animals from private property. So they're doing this, I don't know what the policy is, but it's not as if the council has ever passed any law on this sort of thing.
So you're saying we're not supposed to go on private property?
I'm not, I mean,
That's what
I'm
the
just,
10-foot law
I'm
is?
just saying that there are private companies that do this. There's
Right.
one that I see at my supermarket all the time. Apparently shops where I shop.
Mhm.
So, I don't, again, I don't know
Hopefully
this
they're
particular
shopping and not
story,
dropping
but I
off.
would- Pardon me?
Hopefully they're shopping and not dropping off,
I've stayed away from the vehicle.
not delivering.
But I guess my point is that we don't have any law on this now. I don't really know that much about the policy involved there. As you can imagine, we kind of regularly, as a law office, caution people about going onto private property, making sure you have the proper permissions, making, there are comp issues, there are a lot of things that are involved with this, but at its heart, we're talking about a service that someone appears to expect, which apparently that we do, but that actually isn't provided for in the Baltimore County Code. So
that is true what the driver was saying, that
I don't know anything about the particular policy.
the carcass would have to be within 10 feet of his vehicle. So I kind of understand that. I know we don't go on private property, but so what do we do? What is someone supposed to do? Drag the dead carcass to the curbside?
Or pay a private party to do it.
Or pay the private party?
I mean,
Okay.
we have them, I've seen them.
Okay.
So, I guess, again, I'm not familiar with the particular policy and
Okay.
where the 10 feet came from,
Mr. Chairman,
but.
if I may be heard further.
1 second.
Yes, sir.
Councilman.
This is something I do know very firsthand. It was on a county road, actually, not even a private property. And I had a deer get killed on Westchester Avenue on a Friday morning. And I called, it was several doors down at one of my more senior neighbors' homes. And I called the county, and the county couldn't bring somebody out. And then the county definitely told me with an exceptional clarity that nobody could come out as policy. Nobody comes out until Monday morning. And so it was in a county road, and this deer was absolutely getting a lot of turkey vultures. Let's just say we have a whole bunch of them, maybe 30 or 40 of them. And so I just scooped it up, put it in a box. Now we're lucky because we have woods in the back, and so I could bury the thing in the back. But otherwise, it would have been truly out there for several days. Also, a little dangerous too because it was right in the middle of the road, and it made a real mess. So that is something I think we should look at because, I mean, it's a safety issue. It could be a health issue. Obviously, there's a cost associated to everything. We know that, but it is something that I think there's some legitimate issue there.
Well, I can tell you, Mr. Zimmerman will let you finish up, but I can tell you in probably 3 days, some buzzards, there will be nothing left. If you guess, there may be some bones left there, very few. But go ahead, Councilman. No, Mr. Zimmerman, you want to wait till Councilman Katz finish, or you want to say what you?
It's up to you, sir.
No, just, you can meet my aide, and we'll find out if there are written policies,
I
and then
appreciate
we'll
that, sir.
take it from there, because this obviously is not satisfactory.
And I appreciate that. And I would like
We'll
to
take
note
care
for
of it.
Mr. Fields that other jurisdictions do specifically provide this service. Baltimore City, Anne Arundel County, when it gets beyond a certain point, they don't, in fact, provide the level of service, but it has to be paid for privately. And I think that's important to note. It was well within what would have been, I think it's Anne Arundel County that has a 200-foot limit. It was well within what would have been within that space. I don't think it's so unreasonable to be able to have that in place. And clearly, if the gentleman was citing policy, there's got to be something on the books or the gentleman was making it up. Now, I'm not going to suppose that he is. I'm assuming that he was doing it out of what his directive was.
Yeah.
And that's all I wanted to add, sir. Thank you.
Just to be clear, I'll just add this comment. I think what Mr. Fields was saying, that there is no law. So there's probably some policy within the animal
Understood.
services
Okay.
in terms of what they do and what they don't do. And you have to cut it off somewhere. You say Anne Arundel County is 200 feet, we're 10 feet. Who knows what other people do? But anyway, we appreciate you coming in, and it's worth looking into.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you much, member.
Ms. Peggy? And Mr. Sean Ford, if you can come closer, please.
This is not another grizzly picture.
About all that'll be left.
Is this a grizzly? Ooh, that's cute. I don't want to know if it's a sad story. Don't turn the page.
Ms. Peggy?
All right, hello, my name is Peggy Risson. I live in Dundalk. Tony Crandall is my county council representative. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I want to tell you what happened to me and my dog Molly on January 22nd, 2018. I took Molly for a walk, and a Great Dane that belongs to one of my neighbors got loose from a fenced yard. He had come after me once before, but I used a dog biscuit to get him back in his yard. But this time, he viciously attacked my dog. Okay, he had her by the back end and was shaking her back and forth. Okay, I grabbed the Great Dane. Okay, and when I did, he dropped my dog and he bit me. Okay, then he went after my dog again. He grabbed Molly again, shook her some more, and I managed to get her away from the Great Dane and fell on top of her to protect her. Okay, luckily one of the neighbors heard my screaming, and I could scream that loud. Okay, and she came to help. She had a pole, and she had to swing it at the dog to get him back into his yard and close the gate. Okay, I have pictures of some of my dog's injuries. That she had to have stitches, many stitches, and a drain, and which cost me $1,000 at the vet's. Okay, I had bites on both hands, and bit my left hand down to the knuckle bone. Okay, I called animal control. They made me fill out an affidavit, sign it, and get it notarized. They said if I don't, they'll do nothing. Okay, I got the affidavit notarized, got it to them. When there's a bite, they should have to do a rabies quarantine. They allowed the dog to stay in his home for a 10-day quarantine. He was in his yard every day, just like he was before. I never heard from Animal Services. I had to call them to make sure the dog was not rabid. Okay, and on top it off, Animal Control never took this case before the Animal Hearing Board. They gave the owner some citations. I don't know if she paid the fines. She told everyone she didn't have the money to pay. The Great Dane still terrorizes me and my dog. When Molly plays in the yard, the dog puts its paws up on the top of a 6-foot fence, and it puts its head over the top and growls at Molly and terrifies her, and me also. I worry the dog is going to get loose again. Animal Services should care about Baltimore County citizens. They treated me
Go
like
ahead,
I had
finish
done
your
something
statement.
wrong. Okay. Okay. We should not have to provide a notarized affidavit. They should immediately and fully investigate, which they didn't do in this case. No one from Animal Services has ever interviewed me or the woman who saved me and Molly from the Great Dane. Various dogs should be impounded during a quarantine. And these cases should go before an animal hearing board. No one was there to protect me, my dog, or my neighbors. And this is wrong, and I would like something to be done about this.
Thank you very much, Ms. Reston. Riston? Yes.
Can I ask what neighborhood you're in?
In Dundalk, right off of Wise Avenue.
Okay. Was a police report filed?
Yes.
Okay. Did you happen to contact our office? Because I mentioned earlier there was one other case that we're aware of with the same exact story as Mr. Heinbeck, who testified before you.
No.
Okay.
No, I did not.
Okay.
Councilwoman Bevan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm just curious, again, you did do the affidavit. There was, obviously, you had vet bills. So you're
Yes.
saying to this day, you really don't know whatever happened because you were never
No, and I
contacted
had
by...
to call them and get very insistent to find out if the dog had even had its rabies shots.
But the case never went before the animal board?
No.
So I guess my question, I'm sorry to catch you off again, Mr. Field, but so what would be the reason why a case like this wouldn't go before the animal board?
Well, again, if they issued citations for something like, if they issued a dangerous dog, it would have to go before the animal hearing board.
Did they do that?
No. I
But if
heard
they
that he was just as a dog at large.
Right, if they issued citations for menacing animal or, it sounds like they would have issued a citation for a menacing animal and an animal at large. Obviously, they also would have checked to see if the animal was licensed. If the owner of the animal was willing to just pay the fines, not ask for a hearing and pay the fines, then the case would be over as far as they were concerned. Again, so what happens is they read the affidavit. Based on what they read in the affidavit, they decide what charges to file. Just based on the affidavit, sometimes they'll do some interviews, I guess. But based on the affidavit, if the 4 squares of a particular offense is contained within the affidavit, they'll just go out and issue a citation for that. But if the owner is willing to pay the fine, basically admitting guilt, then, that ends the case.
But I'm confused. So isn't an animal at large just an animal that's not on a leash
runs
running
around,
around?
yeah.
But this dog did a lot of damage to this little dog. And of course, there was vet bills.
And to the dog's owner.
And to the dog's
But
owner.
look, I can't talk to you about this specific case. I
I
don't know
know,
anything
because
about it. So
I
I'm
know.
just saying that, that typically, and we don't know what they're doing with it. It's another thing that we can look into and probably get you some answers for.
Well,
But
I
I'm
think
just
you would
saying
like
that-
some answers. I mean,
Yes,
you're the one
I
that
would.
wants the answers.
Right, but I'm saying that under some if they had decided from what they saw that they weren't going to declare it a dangerous dog, that they were just going to call it a menacing animal, and they issued citations, I'm not saying that's what they did. I'm just saying.
I know. I'm just
that-
trying to understand.
That's, again, I've been here for 20 years. There's always another side to these stories, and usually it's a reasonably logical response. So I mean, I think that we can look into this and try to get some answers.
Well, I would like to do that. So so as an attorney, are you saying her recourse is really a civil matter you can sue somebody that attacks your dog, but if nothing's coming from Animal Services, she has the right to do that?
Well, she can
Is
do
it a civil
both. In
matter?
other words, what typically happens with people who are interested in suing is that they wait until they get what they hope to be a positive response from Animal Services. They use that as part of the case. I mean, there's no either or here. They report it to Animal Services, and they decide what they're going to do about it, but that doesn't stop someone from filing
I
a
mean,
private claim.
she was bit also. She was injured also, so I'm just
Well, I'm not
sorry you
giving
went through
legal
this.
advice.
Well, and I'm just wondering, this isn't directed at you, Mr. Field,
it's not.
because it's not your department, but I'm just wondering, why is the onus on the constituent who is the victim in this to follow up with Animal Services to figure out what's going on? So, and again, not directed at you, and I think the administration has left the building, but, well, so, clearly, there's something here that can be done better to serve our constituents, better than they're being served in these instances.
Councilman
Ms.
Katz?
Richardson, did you have the opportunity to send pictures of your dog and injuries and your own injuries with the affidavit that you sent?
No, it doesn't ask for any of that,
Okay, okay.
but I did take pictures and I gave it to Deborah Stone.
But you did indicate that the dog had been bitten, that you had to take the dog to the
Oh,
vet?
yes,
Okay.
I had to go through 2 pages to
And-
fill it all out, yes.
And you personally were bitten and?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Marks?
A question to Mr. Boswick or Mr. Petticord. It is unusual for no one from the administration to be here. I mean, I've been here 8 years, and there's usually someone sitting there from the administration.
Well, we didn't know in advance this was going to happen, and Mr. Homan set himself another work-related meeting for after the council session.
I know, but you're the attorney. You're not the administrator. It's just unusual that there's no one here.
And actually, someone from the administration is supposed to be working with Animal Services, and he is at every single council meeting, and he's not here as well this evening, I'm noticing.
I mean, Mike, you shouldn't be answering all these questions.
I don't mind.
Okay. No, but I mean, you shouldn't be.
Well, one of two things that I heard this evening that I think you could clarify. One is it necessary to have a notarized affidavit all the time? Well, I know. I mean, I guess clearing this issue up.
You're a victim, why do you have to go through it?
Unless something has changed, the way the affidavit works, the whole point of the affidavit was Animal Services obviously doesn't see 99% of the terrible things that happen between humans and dogs, right? So what they typically, in some ways the beauty of the affidavit is without witnessing anything, if they get a notarized affidavit, they will read the affidavit and they'll compare it against the county law, and they'll issue a citation against the owner of the animal just based on the sworn affidavit. That's really the purpose of it. In other words, like a cop can't charge somebody with a misdemeanor unless they see the misdemeanor being committed, right? So these are obviously civil, based on the affidavit, just on the affidavit. They will, if the affidavit describes an event that violates the law, issue a citation against the owner of the animal. I cannot answer what went on in these cases because this is the first time I'm hearing about them. So I'm trying to sort of describe for you what is possible. It's entirely possible for that one or two of these. They issued citations, and they weren't for dangerous dog. They were for something less than dangerous dog, and the citation was paid. I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. We can sort of get to the bottom of it.
And I understand that. I guess one point I would like to make is, I'm sure all our offices do, but I'm just going to speak for myself. We deal with so many county issues day to day, and we get people that call about code enforcement. We do it anonymously. We get people that call about children they think are in danger through the health department, through social services. They don't have to leave a name. People call all the time and put complaints in about all kinds of issues across the county, and they're not asked to do an affidavit. They can even go online and not leave a name. So I'm just wondering.
Right, but with most code enforcement violations, when the inspector goes to the property, they can oftentimes from the fence see what the violation is.
I think anybody could clearly see that this dog was attacked. It has staples all through its body, and her hand is ripped to shreds.
Right, but we would still, but in order, but when, with code enforcement, when our code enforcement officer goes and sees the violation with his own eyes, he can then go into the hearing and testify as to what he sees, right? When we go to the animal hearing board, someone's got to be there to tell the story, and the paperwork isn't going to be enough.
Well, that's why I'm saying, why isn't Animal Services going to her home and looking at her dog and looking at her hand, and Animal Services writing the report for the animal board?
And it,
I'm just
because, well, first of all, I don't know that that hasn't happened, but second of all, when we get, in fairness to the respondent, when we get to the hearing, we need someone who was actually victimized by the animal to tell the story.
She was willing to tell her story, but nobody wanted to hear it.
That's what she's saying. Again, you got to
Well,
give me.
okay.
Look,
You call me a liar, sir?
I'm not calling you a liar. I'm saying that the situation, we can get you information about the situation.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand it as well.
Right, but you can only understand it.
Right.
Okay.
I'm just trying to understand it.
Ma'am, if I can just suggest you do the same as Mr. Heinbeck, can you contact us?
What, you're over at the East Point Mall?
Yes.
I'll come over.
Yes, and I'll see if you don't leave right away, I'll see if I can get you, I think Mr. Heinbeck may have left, but I'll get you a business card so you can call us. You don't have to physically come to the office.
Okay.
But I'll get you a business card before we wrap up here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Riston. Mr. Ford, Sean Ford, and Ms. Kathy, you can come right up front, please.
Should I start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, first, thank you for the opportunity for being here. It's unfortunate that what started this was I had a little dog, Phoebe, who was mauled and killed in front of my house. Looking back on it, my situation is different from the other people that just came up here. Some things did work very well with animal control. One of the things that did not was the requirement for the affidavit. I was in shock looking back on it. Still upset and thinking about it. I try to follow the right steps. You know, I made a police report with Officer Price at the time. This was in November of 2016. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an operations manager, so I didn't know there's a whole different law regarding, you know, dogs and dogs when dogs attack other dogs. And so I try to follow the right steps. Like I said, filed the police report. At this time, I was probably working over 70 hours a week. I was overnight, so it was really hard for me personally to, you know, with everything that I had going on in my life at that time to get the affidavit. Finally, I got it, put together an agenda, you know, went through the process of animal control and the process of communicating with neighbors. We come to find out these two dogs who were being where the homeowners were being irresponsible and taking care of them. There was a previous attack that had just recently taken place with the pregnant woman right on her front porch that was not addressed. And then also one that happened a year earlier, which I wasn't able to substantiate. So put together kind of like an agenda, if you will, brought it to animal control. And one of the impediments obviously was with requiring the affidavit that set things back when it came to them doing an investigation and then putting the dogs, you know, locking them up or putting them in a pound or whatever. When it was all said and done, they were deemed dangerous animals, and there were stipulations put in place in terms of how they were to be walked and so forth, and who was to be walking them one at a time, etc. So there was some wins there, and there's obviously some losses as well with the unfortunate situation that occurred. When you look at the processes that are currently in place, you know, you talk about the impediment, it should be easy access for a person who, you know, his dog's been killed, let alone the safety of the neighborhood. A lot of people in the neighborhood at that point were affected in a negative way about walking their little dogs, let alone children and so forth that were mentioned earlier. So you could imagine, and you know, it might be 24 hours that they're open, but I called that night and received the answering machine. So, you know, luckily no one else was hurt at that point. But, you know, we followed up on it and at the end received some positive resolution under the circumstances.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ford. Ms. Kathy Latrelli.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Kathy Latrelli. I live in Lutherville. I'm represented by Mr. Wade Catch on the council. In early September 2016, my neighbor's leashed pug was attacked on his own property by two large dogs. This was the pregnant woman that Sean just mentioned in the testimony. We're talking about kind of a long saga of stuff that went on in Orchard Hills. The pug survived the attack but needed lengthy and costly medical treatment. I subsequently learned that this was not the first attack involving the same dogs. In November, Sean Ford, who you just heard from, stopped at my house. I had never met him before, to warn me as I came out with my little dog to walk her that two large dogs had attacked and killed his small dog the day before. His description of the attacking dogs matched the two earlier attacks. Baltimore County failed to act for 3 weeks after Sean's dog was killed because it took him that long to obtain, sign an affidavit, and have it notarized and returned to Bacchus. During that 3-week period, I was almost attacked by the same dogs. I left my house to walk my dog, and before I left my front walk, I saw the two big dogs loose and charging at me from across the street. I had locked the door behind me, and I was so frantic as I turned around and was jiggling. I had to go back up the stairs, and I'm jiggling at the lock, and I'm looking back over at my shoulder, and I'm screaming at the dogs, stay away from me, go home, get away from me. They stopped in that moment, thank goodness. My husband heard the commotion. He opened the door, grabbed me by the sleeve, and the dog and I went basically flying into the house. So we got away. We were not actually attacked. My husband saw the dogs running towards their home, which is what I had told them to do, go home. I contacted Bacchus. They told me I didn't have a case on my own. They said a complaint must come from Sean Ford, the man whose dog was killed, and time was running out for him to file his affidavit. He had only 1 week left, or there would be no case for any of us. I still don't understand that. How could I have come under attack and I can't say anything? I don't even understand why an affidavit is even required. This has come up before tonight. And I'm aware that other counties, other jurisdictions, other agencies don't require affidavits. Can you imagine if you were robbed or assaulted and the police said you had to file an affidavit? I think we'd have a lot more seriously injured people because you don't want witnesses. The good news, Sean did get his affidavit on time as he told you. The Animal Hearing Board heard the case. It was several weeks later. A handful of us took time out from our normal days. We went down in the middle of the day to the hearing board. We offered corroborating affidavits, corroborating testimony in support of what had happened with Sean. The attacking dogs were impounded pending the outcome of the hearing, and we breathed a sigh of relief. We trusted that we would be notified before the dogs were returned to their owners. That didn't happen, and I wanted to highlight that to you. Neighbors are the monitoring device of the board. So when the board tells the owner, you must walk these dogs separately, this dog must be muzzled, this dog, there are certain stipulations. We are the eyes and ears to ensure that those stipulations happen. I'm still rattled by this. I still carry a phone and a shillelagh, and I am prepared to swing for the bleachers if it ever happens again.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Ms. Nina McFadden.
sir.
Good evening. My name is Nina McFadden. My councilman is Council Chair Julian Jones. I spoke at your last meeting. Thank you for allowing me to speak again tonight. When I was here last, I told you that I had been trying to help a hospitalized neighbor. He asked me to care for his 16 cats. His home was in terrible condition and with feces and urine everywhere. I called Baltimore County Animal Services to come and get the cats after Bob gave me verbal permission to do so. They refused to help. I found a surrender form from Online Rescue because BCAS would not provide one. I obtained my neighbor's written permission and also videotaped him in the hospital giving permission for the cats to go to BCAS. But BCAS still wouldn't help. Police got involved, and I asked BCAS to help, but they refused again. In the end, the Baltimore County Police Animal Abuse Team came, even though this was not their job. BCAS finally sent a truck, but refused to enter my neighbor's house. After that, Christine Sandberg of Rescue Well, which I understand receives a grant for its work with BCAS, came to the house, and so did a woman named Susan Reaver, who's with another rescue group. Ms. Reaver helped me with setting up traps to catch the remaining cats. 4 days after I spoke at our last meeting, Ms. Sandberg and Ms. Reaver came to my neighbor's house to reset the traps. I met them there. Ms. Sandberg began to threaten me, saying I would be investigated by animal control for speaking out at the council meeting. She said I could go to jail. I was upset. I went home and called Joy Friedman to tell her about this and asked her what should I do. While she was on the phone, I walked back to my neighbor's house. Ms. Friedman was on my Bluetooth and heard my ensuing conversation with Ms. Sandberg and Ms. Reaver. At that time, Ms. Sandberg berated me and reiterated her threat that I was going to be investigated for speaking at the council meeting. She claimed that I had not had the power of attorney when I called BCAS. And she said that the paperwork I had my neighbor sign was not the right paperwork, and I could be sued for that. Again, she said I could go to jail. She said that the health department might investigate my neighbor and he could suffer as a result. She warned me that hoarders who have their pets taken away.
Please bring your comments to it. Go ahead.
Okay. Taken away often kill themselves and said that I had better watch out for that. Ms. Freeman is here and will verify what I'm saying is the truth because she heard it all. In addition, Ms. Reaver has posted numerous things about this on Facebook, including the claim that I could go to jail. I have given you those copies of the post on Facebook. It's not right that I should face this kind of treatment. Since Ms. Sandberg receives a grant from BCAS, I don't know whether she issued these threats on her own with their consent, but all I know is that I want them to stop. I've done nothing wrong, and I won't be intimidated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We received a letter. All right, thank you very much. Ms. Julianne Zimmerman.
Question.
Thank you, Ms. McFadden.
Who is Mrs. Sandberg again?
She works, I think she has her own dog foundation, but works with Rescue Well. Susan Reaver, it's called Dogs,
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Corey Johns, you can make your way to the front. Oh, you're there. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Julianne Zimmer. I serve on the Baltimore County Animal Services Advisory Commission as an appointment of the Baltimore County Administration. The citizens you heard from tonight are just some of those who have contacted us. There are many more who are having terrible problems dealing with Baltimore County Animal Services. These problems are reaching a crisis point. Since BCAS, in July of this year, transferred almost all of its responsibilities for animal control to the Baltimore County Police Department. The police have no training for this and should not be first responders for such problems. They already have a full plate of responsibilities in keeping our community safe. I'm sure each of you want your constituents and all county citizens to feel protected from aggressive animals and believe the county should have a fully functioning and well-trained animal control division with its Department of Animal Services. Please demand the restoration of our Animal Control Division to a fully functioning, well-trained operation. At your last meeting, we summarized the Commission's finding in its most recent report. Since then, BCAS representatives have said we are misinformed, but they have yet to present one piece of real evidence that disproves any of our findings. All they say is that we are wrong. County Administrator Fred Homan said he was open to an audit of BCAS by the county auditor. This is unacceptable. Mr. Homan has placed himself fully in charge of everything that happens at Animal Services, and he has control over every aspect of this government. A county audit could not possibly be truly independent. In addition, a financial audit is only part of what is called for here. We also need an investigation, a performance audit of BCAS. This too must be independent. Those who work for BCAS have told us they are fearful of Mr. Homan and Gary Klunk, son of George Klunk, who is Baltimore County Property Manager. Gary Klunk is second in charge at BCAS. We ask that you move immediately to hire an outside organization with expertise in animal services that has never had any connection or relationship with BCAS or Baltimore County to perform a financial and performance audit. An organization like Best Friends Animal Society would be ideal. Everyone you heard tonight spoke on several different topics, but it all leads back to the same place. There are serious problems at BCAS that demand immediate attention, and that time is now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Corey Johns.
Hi, thank you for the time. I know we're talking about a lot of serious issues with animal services, but I want to go back 2 weeks and thank you guys for approving a bill for environmental oversight. I'm a member of the Sierra Club, and environment is really important to me. And it was one of the most bipartisan pieces of legislation I remember I watch, or I either attend or watch every county council meeting. So I keep a pretty good eye on what's very partisan. That was really bipartisan. Even the one vote against it was not a vote against environmental oversight. It was a vote against legislation, additional legislation for additional legislation, which I understand. But I think it just shows where we've come as a community, as a county. It wasn't too long ago where we were, you had on one side the tree huggers and the other side the ignorant climate change deniers. We're past that. And I just think, it really shows a focus of we as a county care about the
You're talking
environment.
about the president. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
I
I'm
understand federal legislation, and that's a different story. But at a county level, just in general, people in the community, it's not where we're at. And it just shows where we've come, and it's definitely appreciated that you've passed that bill to give environmentalists, more of a say in what happens in the environment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johns. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We certainly appreciate the testimony. Some of the stories were certainly riveting and wrenched our hearts, and I'm really sorry. I would urge that, you know, in the future, if you have some of these issues, feel free to contact our animal control or contact even your council person. But I want to thank everybody for coming once again, and have yourself a safe trip home.